executive summary for January. And right off the top, it looks kind of bad, but part of the reason why I want to make sure that I understand what it's about is what kind of inflation rate are we writing into our budget? I mean, I'm looking at the executive summary, I'm going to be looking at the budget, and I see how much money we're spending, and it's a lot of plus and minuses, percentages of items. Right now, it looks like most of them are within a few percentage points of where they were before. I was just kind of curious to what kind of inflation rate we got factored in, because we got a lot of debt outstanding. And the inflation rates and yields on bonds are tied together.
Well, I can tell you, interest rates with bonds, there's virtually no interest earnings as it currently stands. We just had our report that was given by our financial analyst, investment analyst. Very little interest earnings at all. What we do, we each year we look at services offered, and we take into account any change that increases or decreases in operations and services. So we would adjust accordingly. We don't stick with just a standard 1 or 2% inflation rate. We try to drill down a little closer to actuals, and then we adjust where we need to. As far as debt service goes, we're in really good shape as far as our debt, amount of debt, compared to other communities our size. We're in really good shape, believe it or not. And that continues to go down. You'll see this year the first reimbursement coming from the pass-through out at 195-201. That'll relieve a lot of tension on the general fund and the debt that's supported by that. So debt service, I think we're in pretty good shape. We would never have asked council to consider a $20 million CIP had we not been. Now, I will say that we did take about 2 years without doing a whole lot of extra debt, new debt, general fund supported debt, but now the time was right. So anyway, we try to play close attention. I think we're tracking pretty close in the budget. If you read the summary, I think you said we're within a couple of points.
In most places, there's a few things that are.
And we have some there's that seasonal type of spending.
Right.
You may see, and I'll use Parks and Recreation as an example. It may be that the supplies account, operations account may be still at 5% spent. Well, as soon as June, July gets here, it goes to about 95 in a hurry. So there's a lot of that seasonal spending too. There's a lot that's spent up front, and then it tapers through the year.
So what kind of interest rate, or not, inflation rate is programmed into?
We look at the actuals. We don't have just a flat 1 or 2% inflation. What we know is salaries. We know what the adjustment is there, which is about a 2%. But as far as inflation goes, we look more at the actual itself.
Actual from government sources?
Based on current levels of service and spending.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to throw it in a different, I got here late to the party. I only got here in 1989. But in that time, animal control has been in the same building, and I really think, Harker Heights has got a nice one, and I know go ahead and throw Lampass has got themselves a pretty decent one. And I'd really like to see Killeen Animal Control. There's a lot that used to be, it's across the street from Boulder on the corner of 38th and Rancier. There used to be the movie theater there, and it burned down, and just it's empty. And every time I pass it, I visualize a nice, place where they can have open runs, let the dogs get some exercise. You can have buildings where they're sick, injured, to the side, and then have a better place for adoption, except that one little small room that animal control has right now with maybe a plastic chair in it. It's just
Understood.
very much so, I think. And with us being such a transit town, and a lot of times when the guys or the girls go, their only option is to either turn the dogs into animal control or to open up the door and say, go find yourself a new home. That's how I got a few of mine, but, you know, but I just like to see.
Yeah, no, and we agree. And council, it's probably been a month or so ago that said, what are we doing with animal control officers? And their interest was staffing up, being more present out in our community. Also, facility-wise as well. You have probably the chief proponent for all things animals in George Fox. And I will tell you that that committee is getting together again tomorrow as they look at that animal ordinance, dangerous animal ordinance, and some suggestions that are coming out of that have to do with code enforcement and fencing. Has to do with dog parks, just as you mentioned. And part of that Parks and Recreation funding, when you add amenities, and the dog park is an amenity in a park, so you might look for one or two of those here in the very near future as part of that. And the facility itself needs to be expanded. We do know that. Location-wise, I doubt we go to that corner, but there are other opportunities as well.
Okay, because I'd like to see, you know, where it's more heated and air conditioned, so the dogs are
Sure.
as comfortable as they could be. Does animal control fall under Parks and Rec, or do they fall under PD?
Police. PD.
Okay. Okay.
And all services are under the same title, City of Killeen, so we all support one another as well. So there would be some things that parks would assist, and animals control would assist parks. So, thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay. It'll be a little odd to be on the other side of the camera, but anyway,
It's,
I'm active at the both senior centers.
Yes.
And I'm also a volunteer. I teach computers on Monday and Wednesday. So what I want to do is talk about computers, even though Dr. Cott did.
Okay.
There's 3 computers at the Lions Club, and there's 5 at Gilmore Center. And I'm also going to talk about the libraries, because I also go there, and I used to go there years ago when I didn't have the internet at home. And they still have the same computers today. They got XP machines, there's 14 at each one. So those 28 need to be replaced, and our 8 also need to be replaced. So I hope you can put that in the budget. Also, the maintenance of these computers. The technicians are awfully slow to do anything about it, especially the computers at the senior centers. We had to go a year one time. It was in 2012. A virus got on one of the computers at the Lions Club, and Debbie put in an order. I'd ask her what's going on. She puts in another order, and then Mayor Corbin has a town hall meeting in 2013. I addressed it then. It took another 4 or 6 months. It took a year, and that's not acceptable. And now we got a problem with the 2 computers again. One of them, well, it's been going on now for months. They took one away, and Paul Wyckoff donated a computer, and so it's there. It took them a while to get that computer back at the Lions Club. So the maintenance thing has got to be better. Okay, and then I want to also talk about the Wi-Fi. It'd be good to have that. It'd be good to have it at the libraries. Other cities have it. We need it. Dr. Cott talked about one of the rooms not having curtains. I'm going to talk about the library. In 2010, I talked to Debbie about getting drapes because that sun is in our eyes. It's pretty bright. Glare on the monitors.
Senior Center.
And this is the
Lions Park.
Lions Club. That was in 2010. Here it is, 2014. No drapes. I think the city of Killeen can afford to put drapes. Okay. While we're at it, might as well look at the exercise machines at the Lions Club. You know, it was opened in 2008. Maybe they've deteriorated by now and might need to be replaced. Also, renovating the Gilmore Center. I hope that maybe we can put in some exercise machines over there also. And can you tell me when they're going to start that renovation?
The community center renovation will probably start this fall, late fall. About late fall, it's probably a 12-month project, and then we would go from there. And
Okay.
it's one big complex, so when you start talking about multiple amenities within a facility, it might be that some of that might be best served in the space at the community center, if there's space available, and not crowd the Gilmore Center any more than what it is. We can sure look at that.
Okay, so you're gonna renovate the building.
Community center, yes,
Will
sir.
that also include, the chairs? The chairs are falling apart at
Yeah.
Gilmore Center.
Yes,
So if you're gonna include anything like that, furniture?
it can, yes, sir. And we can address furniture today. So we'll
Okay.
look at that and see what shape they're in. If we need to do some replacing, we can do that now.
Okay.
Outside, maybe before we get into budget.
Okay, well, I guess that's it for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate your comments. Yes, sir.
How do you look on public safety for east and west of downtown? I have several rental properties, and I would love to see bicycle sections that are funded. I think it's supposed to have a team of maybe 8 to 10, but I think it's only one. These neighborhoods where my properties are and where I also stay, because I choose so, if they were out of the vehicles, out on bicycles, boots on the ground, I think it would have a lot of crime. I deal with several of my residents getting their vehicles broken to, a lot of prostitution, and I mean, the officers are around driving, but I think if they were out of the vehicles and actually were out on the street, I think it would make a difference.
Sure, I'll let Deputy Chief Click, who's over in North Precinct, I'll get in touch with him tomorrow, tell him your concern. As far as staffing goes, it is an area we're looking at, not only through a COPS grant, but also from staffing on ourselves. So look for that to happen. And anytime we can bring staffing up, you'll start to see more of things like the bike patrol and so forth. They come out for events, and I think I hear you loud and clear about reach out to the community a little bit more, off of the downtown.
Second, in regards to the homeless shelter, how's that gonna affect the neighborhood around it? I mean, we have enough problems as it is. And the reason why I say that is that I was homeless years ago, and those areas tend to have a lot of crime that is in and around it. So, I mean, how are we going to help us to where we're not taking on another burden? I mean, all the property managers and landlords, we have enough problems as it is now. So how are we going to have them but make sure that the neighborhood doesn't deteriorate?
Yeah, I think
That
there's.
doesn't sound.
No, I understand what you're saying, and there's a natural tendency for certain things to follow that. I think there's more to a homeless shelter than just opening a door. It takes social services in and outside of that, also public safety awareness. So I think that with families in crisis being the group that will maintain and run that shelter, I think they will coordinate with all the agencies, not only social service, but we'll be keenly aware as far as PD, ambulance service, and things like that goes. So you can look for a presence, and because it's in the downtown area, you have the North Precinct right there, so very close proximity. So once it stands up, I think you can expect to see some extra attention there in and around it. Dr. Brown, do you have your hand up?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity
Sure.
for input of my citizens. This is just so wonderful. One of the things that I really love about the city of Killeen, it's always been open to the citizens.
Thank you.
We don't always take advantage of it, but for about 4 items I want to share. As the founder and coordinator of the Thunder Creek Community Association, we're very concerned about lighting in our area. I understand that we are probably following the specifications for the builders who build communities, but some of the communities don't have as much lighting, and I think that is a deterrent to crime. When the sun goes down, especially in the winter time, the children scatter inside quickly because it just doesn't look safe going through some neighborhoods. I don't know what can or cannot be done, but at least great minds who put things together can solve problems. So lighting is one thing, and we are the Thunder Creek Community Association. We have about 12 streets in that area, and not very large number of citizens.
We'll go out and assess that, and course, Scott Osborne, our director, is here, and he's already writing notes.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, a second item that our community is concerned with, we have just one example of one citizen on the block where I live on Waterfall Drive who has been in the hospital on 4 different occasions in the past 4 months for being bitten by different dogs. The last time the dogs came into his yard and attacked him and his dogs, and he's had to go to the hospital each time. The second time, a neighbor on Waterfall Drive let the dogs out, and he was walking his dogs by the house, and both dogs bit him, and we wound up in front of Judge Cook on that one because the neighbors weren't being responsible. We have about 12 goals for the Thunder Creek Community Association, and number 11 is to make good neighbors of our pets. Right behind my house on Waterfall Drive, Killeen police officer had to put 3 bullets and take one of the dogs down right behind my house because of the woman and the boy who were recently in the news for being bitten by 3 loose pit bulls. So I'm bringing this to the attention of the council so that we can improve awareness and strategies for protecting neighbors and holding neighbors more responsible, citizens more responsible for their pets.
Dr. Brown, I can tell you that I'm really proud of the work that the Animal Advisory Committee is doing. George Fox is a big leader in that, leads that discussion. Also, Judge Kimball is here from this municipal court. The judge will play a key role in enforcement of those stricter and stronger ordinances that are going to be created.
Thank you so much. All right, and the last thing is a really, really big one. But you know, you got to dream big if you want to have a great city.
Right.
And that is most of our communities are built around schools. We have school communities. And when I saw that, I said, this is so wonderful. And right now, my grandson, for whom I am now guardian because his mom was a soldier in Afghanistan, goes to a school, and it was so refreshing. I just left the PTA meeting. I'm so sorry I'm late coming to this meeting, but I'm glad I had an opportunity to share. This principal had the most wonderful vision. She said, you know, we've invited all of the community to come into this PTA meeting because we feel like we are part of the community. And she said, but you know, we're going to do what we can within our school walls, but there are no community rec centers. We have all this wonderful land, and wouldn't it be nice if something could be done? I was just dreaming one day, walking through my neighborhood, thinking, wouldn't it be nice if there's so much land here, so much ground. How about a Boys and Girls Club somewhere? Be there and say, okay, we're going to put one right in this community, near the school, or on the school grounds. I don't know whether we work in conjunction with schools or not, but just dreaming big.
We do. As a matter of fact, we have 3 joint use parks that we had a cooperative effort with the school district on creating some park space because they do have excess land around the elementary and really all the schools. But the elementary schools seem to be the ones centered in the neighborhood. You're right. And I think there is opportunity. The Boys and Girls Club, they have many satellite facilities around. You might look for another one someday soon, north side of town in that area. And they'll continue to grow in the places they need to. Now they are also housed inside the middle schools. With a middle school, I don't know if it's the Latchkey program, but they have a middle school program for kids. Just like the YMCA has the Latchkey in the elementary schools. So those schools get repurposed daily. So maybe it's an education piece, make people more aware of what's there, how to sign up, how to get involved. A lot of those schools have amenities that we wish that we had in the city inventory. So yeah, I think the cooperative effort, we can expand upon that.
And just one last
Yes,
thing.
ma'am.
With the recreation programs, recreation programs or?
Well, we have an association that's gonna run our soccer program for us. And what we think we're gonna see is an expanded soccer program, a much more vibrant program, because they are center focused on soccer. Then you'll see Parks and Recreation shift and pick up some other areas that are of need and that are underserved. And you might look for, most communities have associations that offer and maintain and manage youth team sports. Killeen, we felt like we were the most stable and a very transient community to have the city do that. And now we're starting to see the community interest to get involved in doing that, and they do it in great fashion. So I would say look for soccer to grow and grow quickly, and it's a pilot program for some other team sports. Youth basketball kind of led the way with people organizing. You see a lot of the youth football teams. It used to just be City Killeen had flag football, and the boys and girls club had tackle. There are several associations out there now, so much larger population and more opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
My coach for my grandson last year asked if I would find out more about it because he said it was costing more and there's so many children that may not be able to afford. Because I did enroll my son in Tri-County, and it wasn't costly for me, but I'm thinking about some other folks, so he might be thinking about it.
And I think just like with the city, if there was a child or a family that had a tough time to pay an entry fee, I think they probably have the ability to work with that family. And I suspect they would do that.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else?
Yes.
George, state your name. You have 3 minutes.
In the past year, we have had X number of dog attacks to include 1 death. And the Animal Advisory Committee is looking at all the different options available to make Killeen a safer place for both citizens and pets. There are a couple things, though, that hit the budget thing of interest to me. And they'll be part of an overall plan, but individually, though, things like a dog park, the business of socializing pets. Pets that are socialized tend not to be the ones to attack. We do need a larger shelter, whether it's a complete overhaul or a similar building to the one that we just recently put so that we can get away from that small adoption area would certainly be a benefit to the city. And a larger shelter makes it easier, animals coming in, animals going out, which helps overall in our business of cutting down on the number of animals that attack. We need night drop-off. It's a staffing issue, but it's critical because we cannot, as we have in the past, tell citizens just to hold it or turn it loose. That is unacceptable. We need to be open on Sundays. We need to go back to 7-day-a-week operations. That would involve additional funding. And in turn, more animal control officers. Yes, I prefer not to throw out we need more people unless we've got a plan to cover these other areas. I think it needs to be a complete package, knowing that some of these things take longer than others. Again, we need to do what's necessary to make our streets safe for citizens. And the last item, which the committee will address but will eventually cost something, is that we need a better educational program for our citizens. They need to know what the ordinances say. They need to know what to do if they see a strange dog in their neighborhood, et cetera, et cetera. So all those things will address part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think you'll see there's a lot of emphasis with animal control and efforts from facilities to staffing and all points in between. So, and just like we talked about strategic plans, you're right. I mean, it's not going to happen